What's going on, everyone? Climate data report here for the Monday, March 13th long-range leap with the mid to long-range forecast outlook. Starting off here, we do have something going on in the mid-range. There is a severe thunderstorm threat for Thursday where the SPC has now added 15% probabilities from Texas through portions of Oklahoma, western Arkansas, and northwest Louisiana. There is the threat that there could be a few severe storms with a system that's going to pass through the area, and there is some low-level shear, so that means there could be a few tornadoes, and they actually say that here in the outlook. It says, even though low-level moisture should remain somewhat limited, enough low-level shear should be present to support a threat for a few tornadoes. Confidence is still scattered in convection occurring, though it has increased to 15% now. So this is something we're going to have to watch this week. And let's take a look at the Canadian model for this one. As you can see here on the Canadian, it does show, here's Thursday afternoon, it does show some convection over Texas and Oklahoma. It also shows a system up here in the Midwest, which is going to provide more snow to portions of Minnesota and Wisconsin, and there could be a considerable amount of snow with this system. The severe WEX then shifts east here on this model, and unfortunately, this is one of those overnight events again. As you can see here, the timing, 6Z Friday as it shows, that is 2 a.m. Friday morning, or 3 a.m. now that we've had clocks changed. And as we go into Friday morning, this threat then shifts into Louisiana, and there could be a threat for some severe WEX on Friday as well, possibly in Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia, and even the Florida Panhandle, as this front is going to cross the east. But look up here in the Great Lakes. You continue to see snow up here in Wisconsin, and if the Canadian model was right with this output, this could be a good 4 to 8 or 6 to 10 inch system, yet again with windy conditions as well. Gusts would be up to 35 to 40 miles per hour with a low like this that tracks over the Great Lakes. Here we are Friday evening. Here's that threat for Friday's severe weather down here in the Florida Panhandle, Alabama, portions of Georgia, and this front's going to clear the coast, but look what happens. Winter weather returns for much of the country. Temperatures go below average. And look here in the Northeast. You get another shot of snow showers in northern New England, but the rest of the country, see all these blue lines? That is cold temperatures. And I will show you the temperatures here. Here we are on Sunday. This is Sunday morning. You have temperatures below zero in parts of the Dakotas and below freezing weather all the way down to the Gulf Coast states. So there would be yet again another threat for hard freeze warnings down in the Gulf Coast. As we move on beyond this period, there's another system we have to watch for next week. As we get here into Tuesday, so this is Monday night into Tuesday of next week, look at this. The Canadian model is showing a system forming over Texas, and yes, your eyes are not deceiving you. That is snow in portions of central Texas. Multiple models have been showing this now, but it's been different from run to run. And at this range, you want to use the ensembles. But we're not going to take a look at this system really on the ensembles. What we're more focused on is the deep cold that's going to be setting in for the second half of this month. Remember, spring is only 7 days away. And it's not going to feel like spring for a large majority of the country. Something else I want to bring your attention to. We're into the longer ranges of the Canadian model here. Look on the West Coast. Here's another major system with heavy rainfall, heavy mountain snows, and at the same time, the Canadians showing that system that comes out of the Gulf or Texas area. Look at this, another coastal storm in the east. So that's something we're going to have to watch. We could yet again next week have a period where there is a storm ongoing on the West Coast and another storm ongoing on the East Coast. All right, how about those below average temperatures? Well, here we go. Let's advance this. This is the EPS. This is the European Prediction System. The ECMWF Models Link Center. And as we get into the weekend, look what happens behind this cold front. These are temperature anomalies. So anything in this purplish blue, that's below average. Ahead of that, you do get a brief spike of above average temperatures, but key word, brief. look what happens here. Much of the west, all the way through Chicago by Saturday morning, is below average temperatures. And as I advance this tries to make its way east, and look what happens as we get into Sunday. Right through the plains, you have really cold, below average temperatures. And that even spreads into the mid-Atlantic. And look at Florida. Maybe you're thinking, spring break in Florida right now. It's going to be below average down there. And as we get into Monday of next week, look at this. Majority of the country is below average with exceptions to northern New England and the Pacific Northwest. And as I continue this, here we are into Tuesday of next week. It continues to be cold and below average. All the Gulf Coast states, all of the central and western states, with the exception to, at this point, the Northeast is slightly above average. But that may not last, because there's already, at the end of this run, more cold air waiting in the wings in the west, and who knows, it could continue. All right, taking a look at the Climate Prediction Center. Here you go, 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. Below average temperatures for much of the country. The only places you see near normal is up here in Maine and down here in southern Florida, and oh look, maybe a little bit near normal up in Alaska. 8 to 14 day outlook. Below average with the maximum of it being in the west coast, but still you're seeing below to slightly below average temperatures for much of the country, and in the 8 to 14 day range, southern Florida does go above normal. How about precipitation over the next 6 to 10 days? Well, unfortunately, we're still looking at above average precipitation out in California, and that's not good. They don't need any more rain, and unfortunately, you saw for next week, there could be yet another system. And this does include the fact that there's a system ongoing right now, slightly below average precipitation up in the Great Lakes as we advance this to the 8 to 14 day range. Generally above average in the west because, again, another system's coming on next week. And slightly above average in the south. And the reason why the south goes slightly above average is because of that potential Gulf Coast system. Tomorrow we'll look at the ensembles for that, if it's still on the models, and we'll try and get a better idea if it's actually going to happen. Because remember, it's going to be cold in the south. If it happens, there's the possibility there could be a winter aspect to that system. Alright, that does it for today's Long Range Leap. Hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, hit the like button down below. If you want to know when my future content comes out, hit the subscribe button down below too. Take care everyone, and see you next time. Have a great afternoon.